Careblazer, what if I told you that almost half of all dementia cases could be delayed or even prevented by changing some lifestyle factors, basically changing the way we live our lives? This isn't a guess or a theory. It's straight from the 2024 Lancet Commission's report. Basically, some of the top researchers in the entire world come together and they have identified 14 modifiable risk factors. That basically just means 14 things that we can modify, we can change to reduce our own dementia risk. Get this, by up to 45%. Today, I'm going to walk you through all 14 modifiable risk factors, as well as give you some action steps that you could take starting today to help reduce your own dementia risk. So if you're concerned about your brain health, this is definitely a video to watch. Careblazer, as we go through the list, take count of how many of these risk factors you think you might have. In fact, I put together a free download for you. It's a self-assessment where as you watch the video or even after, you can go through and check mark where you are in each of the areas. I even have the categories. Are you in the green, meaning you're pretty good to go on this area? Are you in the yellow, meaning there's some work to be done, but you're doing okay? Or are you in the red, meaning, okay, we need to make some changes now? That whole self-assessment is yours for free. I even included some guiding questions at the end to help get you moving in the right direction to reduce your own dementia risk. That link to download is below this video, or you can go to careblazers.com/dementia risk. Let's get started with risk factor number 1, and that is low education, especially low education in early life. Basically, the lower education you have in early life, the lower your cognitive reserve in later life. So basically, having more education in a way kind of helps our brain function better later in life. But here's what you can do. It's never too late to learn. We want to work our brains like we work muscles. We want to maybe consider reading books, listening to audiobooks, doing puzzles, crosswords, anything that actually gives you a mental stimulation, that can be considered education. Risk factor number 2 is hearing loss. Having untreated hearing loss can increase your dementia risk. The big takeaway here, get your hearing checked. If you have low hearing and you are prescribed hearing aids, absolutely wear them. Because when we think about somebody who isn't hearing accurately, they're not getting great cognitive stimulation, because if you're not hearing what's going on in the world, you're not getting the information. Risk factor number 3, high blood pressure. Hypertension, especially in midlife, increases your risk for Alzheimer's disease and vascular dementia. Making sure you're exercising, following a decent diet, doing whatever you can to control hypertension if you have it. Those are all great ideas, obviously working with your healthcare provider. Risk number 4, smoking. Smoking damages blood vessels, increases inflammation in the brain. It increases somebody's risk for dementia. Even reducing how much you smoke can make a big difference. Talk to your healthcare provider if you're really serious about quitting, and they can maybe help get you on nicotine replacement and come up with a good plan to help you succeed in stopping smoking. Risk number 5, obesity. Being obese, especially in midlife, doubles your risk for getting dementia. And small changes here add up. Whether you want to start walking after meals, starting to eat a healthier diet, swapping a little bit of the sugars or sweets you like with something a little bit healthier, all of these things can really make a difference in trying to reduce obesity. Okay, Careblazer, how are you doing? Do not get discouraged. We will talk about how you can make some small steps to make really big change. Okay, but let's keep going on this list. Let's move on to risk factor number 6, depression. Depression is not only can it be a symptom of dementia, having depression actually increases your risk for dementia. And the good news is depression is treatable. So if you are feeling depressed, absolutely tell your healthcare provider, get an evaluation, and get treatment. Risk factor number 7 is physical inactivity. Having a sedentary lifestyle where you don't move very much increases risk. So make your steps small, whether it's 5 to 10 minutes of physical activity a day. It doesn't even need to be running or the treadmill or anything you don't enjoy. For me, I love dancing, and I take a dance class at least once a week where I can move my body. I don't feel like I'm exercising at all, even though it's a really great workout. Risk factor number 8 is diabetes. It causes inflammation in the brain. It impacts our blood vessels. It will increase dementia risk. Again, a lot of the things that we would do here is to make sure we get our regular health checkups, eat healthy, regular exercise. We're starting to hear a pattern here, right? Risk factor number 9 is excessive alcohol. Drinking excessively can shrink the brain and increase risk. It also happens to worsen mood and memory. We do want to be careful if you do drink excessively, not to just stop cold turkey. That can be very dangerous. So if you're interested in stopping, talk to your healthcare provider, but you can also start small with maybe swapping one alcoholic beverage with a mocktail or a glass of water or tea or some other enjoyable beverage. I was giving a presentation once on these 14 modifiable risk factors, and a lady raised her hand and she said she had just gotten some really bad news about her liver, and it really scared her. And so she didn't want to be drinking anymore. And so what she does is she grabs a very fun, festive glass, like a fancy glass that she has, and she makes a mocktail for herself every night. So she still gets the pleasure of the feeling of having a drink, but there is no alcohol in it. So that might be an idea for you as well. Risk factor number 10 is traumatic brain injury. When people have TBIs, it increases the risk for dementia. Now, obviously, we can't go back and change any TBIs that have happened in the past, but we can do things to make sure we lower our risk for TBI now, whether it's wearing helmet when you're doing contact-to-contact sports, refraining from lots of high-risk activities. These are things that are important. Also, especially important for kind of our population and even our loved ones, is making sure the home is free of fall risk. There's non-slip surfaces, rugs are taped down if there are rugs, in the home, things like that to prevent trip hazards. Risk factor number 11, a lot of people don't really think about, but it's air pollution. Air pollution absolutely increases our risk for dementia. So maybe keeping the windows closed on high pollution days, trying to stay indoors when it's a high pollution day, that's going to be important. Even consider using air purifiers in the home. Risk factor number 12, social isolation. Social isolation will increase your risk. It worsens mood, prevents us from having a lot of cognitive stimulation around other people. So doing what you can to have some sort of social interaction on a consistent, regular basis. It doesn't mean you need to be a social butterfly. It doesn't mean you need to have a ton of friends, but it does mean that maybe you have a few meaningful people that you can connect with and check in with. And don't underestimate the power here of being able to use video chat or even text messages. It doesn't mean you have to meet up with them in person, because I know how challenging that can be for busy caregivers. Okay, so now we're at number 12, but in 2024, in the most recent updated report, which by the way, I will link the entire report for you to download for free below this video as well, or just go to careblazers.com/dementia risk. So if you're somebody who wants to get in the nitty-gritty, the whole report will be there waiting for you. But in 2024, they announced 2 additional modifiable risk factors. As more research comes out and there's enough really good studies to show this in fact increases dementia risk, they add it to this report. So let's talk about the 2 new added ones. Number 13, high LDL cholesterol, essentially the high bad cholesterol. In fact, the researchers suggest that 7 out of every 10 dementia cases could be linked to high cholesterol. And people who have high LDL cholesterol starting from their 40s have a 33% increased risk of dementia. So we can start by asking our healthcare provider to check our cholesterol levels if we don't know, so we can get an idea of where we're at. And again, similar to many of the other factors, this is where a really healthy diet is going to come into play. Risk factor 14, the last one, vision loss. Vision loss increases dementia risk. And it's in a way similar to when we talked about hearing loss. When we're not getting all of the sensory information, our brain isn't having as much stimulation. So making sure we're getting regular eye exams, making sure if you do have some sort of corrective eyewear that we actually use them. So Careblazer, there you have it. Those are 14 risk factors for dementia. but they are considered modifiable risk factors, meaning we can make changes. And every change we make in the right direction on these risk factors reduces our risk. We're not going to control everything. We are not going to be perfect. We can make small changes. Just because we can't do it perfectly doesn't mean what we do won't make a difference. I would love to know, what is one small change you are going to make after watching this video? And if you haven't, download that free self-assessment, because the responses are more specific, like how you rate yourself. I've wrote down very specific answers so you can get a better idea of whether you are in the red, the yellow, or the green. I hope this video has helped you. If so, consider subscribing. There's like a little red button on your screen that says subscribe. It is absolutely 100% free. All that does is when you log into YouTube again, you'll be more likely to see these videos, which I release every single week. Also, what's really important for me is that it communicates to YouTube that these videos are helpful for other people who are similar to you. So if there is a caregiver out there trying to find information on how to improve their own brain health or how to best care for their loved one with dementia, YouTube will be more likely to show them one of my videos. I really appreciate everything you're doing for your loved one. Here's to having better brain health. I'm sending you all so much love. And I apologize if you could hear Nico in the background chewing his bone. You couldn't wait to chew your bone till after I was done? It's okay. All right. Sending you love, Careblazers. Bye.
Also, Nico gets a belly rub for every person who subscribes from this video. So if you haven't already, click the red subscribe button. It's totally free. And Nico says, thank you very much.